Welcome in, sports fans, to the Sports Buffet. I know you see up there, we are four-star sports media. Don't let the name fool you. It's 4 stars. It may be a four-star name, but it's five-star coverage. Every single thing we do, I promise you that. Got Jason Patterson over there with me as well. It's a plate full of nothing but, well, a lot of it's college sports. There is a little bit of a
Ton.
mixture in there as well. But welcome to the show. Thank you everybody watching and listening. The last time you saw us, it was me and Baldy, aka John Starter, talking a little bit of pro wrestling. So it's back to the normal college sports talk right here on the Sports Buffet, where you always get full of sports. Jason, let's start at the top, man. Wild West. We saw the news today. We talked about it with David Schultz from Locked On Sunbelt recently. We went in depth about it, but it's
Mhm.
official. Texas State is now a member of the Pac-12.
As of 9:45 on June 30th in the morning, Regents board voted to go ahead and pay the $5 million buyout towards the Sun Belt so that they can bolt to the Pac-12. They have now 8 members that will be participating in college football in 2026-27. That is when Texas State will officially join the Pac-12. A couple of Plano East alum helped make that move, and also it was information provided to me by Greg Thomas, and so he was happy to see that happen. I don't think in the wildest dreams over the last 5-10 years that you could ever say that Texas State would be part of the Pac-12. Almost kind of reminiscent of the show Coach back from the late 80s, early 90s with Minnesota State.
Great
Um,
show.
Hell of a show. Still watch it to this day. But
Sorry.
I'm telling you, this move to the Pac-12 is very reminiscent of that, where you have a smaller school, which is a HBCU, and they are making moves to the larger stage. They did have some options, but going to the Pac-12 was going to be the most financially stabilizing for them as far as totality goes, and because I understand that the Pac-12 is not what it was from a couple of years ago, but um, doesn't mean that eventually, if they are able to step their game up as a conference, that a smaller TV market might say, hey, you know what? I'm going to pick this conference up, put it on there, not for the cheap, but it's going to be where each school is going to be able to make some more money than where they were before.
It's a great point, and you mentioned it, Jason. Now the Pac-12 gets to keep their FBS requirement
Mhm.
by adding that eighth team to
Yep.
football. As we know, Gonzaga is a basketball, non-football school. But Texas State joins Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, Oregon State, San Diego State, Utah State, and Washington State as those eight
Might as well just call it the state
football
Pac-12.
playing
Hell,
teams. I mean, essentially, it's the state conference. Every school has a state in it.
it's the state.
But you look at Texas State; they invested $149 million into their athletic facilities
Mhm.
since 2022. Additional $50 million planned in athletic revenue sharing and performance centers. Additionally, and on top of all that, they achieved the highest ever academic progress rate, which the APR is very important. A lot of people don't think about the APR, but the APR score of 995 out of 1,000 with only 9 programs, or with 9 programs scoring perfectly. So
Yeah,
when you look at Texas State, they're attractive in a couple different ways on the academic side as well as athletically.
2 straight bowl appearances right out of the gate as well over the last 2 years. That doesn't hurt either.
No, it doesn't. GJ Kinney, we spoke with GJ last year on the Sunbelt weekly teleconference. Some weeks you get a little more out of him. Most weeks you get, I mean, honestly, he's very similar to a piece of toast. He's kind of dry. Just not trying to be rude, just saying. Um,
Sometimes you get a
but
little butter,
big
you can
time news.
slather it up. A little bit of jelly,
True,
make it a little
true, true.
sweet.
So we heard exactly. So we heard from the Sun Belt as we would have with Texas State's recent announcement. This is a quote, by the way. Quote: With Texas State's recent announcement of its planned departure from the Sun Belt Conference, I want to personally take a moment to thank the Bobcat staff for their collaboration and leadership throughout a transformative era in college athletics, from the COVID-19 pandemic to name, image, and likeness to the most recent round of realignment. Since expanding to 14 playing members, the Sun Belt Conference has experienced the best 3 year stretch in its conference's nearly 50-year history. Did not realize that conference has been around that long. I knew it been a long time. Over the span, uh, the league has led to non-autonomy conferences, all non-autonomy conferences in football postseason representation for 3 straight years, including leading the nation with 12 bowl teams in 2023, set a conference record with a non-autonomy leading 37 NCAA postseason and bowl bursts during the 2023-2024 season. But Keith Gill would go on to say, I will continue to update our stakeholders on developments, whether possible, as we work to ensure the sustained rise of the Sun Belt Conference. He said, the Sun Belt Conference is rising and our best days are ahead of us, end quote. So I asked that to ask this, Jason. What
Okay.
do you think is next for the Sun Belt? Talking with David Schultz, sounds like to me the Sun Belt's pretty well told Louisiana Tech, uh, you're not doing it. You're not coming over here.
Mhm.
So could you see a team like Middle Tennessee State, for example, jump from Conference USA
I
over to the
mean,
Sun Belt?
that would be an interesting move. I think it would be a move that probably the conference has seen in the past. Look at the original six that were part of the Sun Belt. You got New Orleans, South Alabama, Georgia State, Jacksonville, UC Charlotte, South Florida, which South Alabama is the only remaining original member from that 76 year. So uh, I don't know exactly where they go from here. Personally, when you have teams that start to make a climb, they start to ascend, and all of a sudden now you got money that gets waved in front of you. It's really hard to say no to money these days because that right there is their arms race. So, you really don't. It's really hard. It really is hard, honest to God, because whenever you have a league like the Pac 12, regardless of what's happened over the last couple of years being gutted, it still has a little bit of, pizzazz. It has a little, that name still carries some weight somewhere. Okay, yeah, I'm part of the Pac 12. Well, yeah, what Pac 12? No, there is a Pac 12. And at the last time I checked, um, that right there is a bowl, a BCS, a bowl championship contending uh, league. So now, and what's really kind of crazy if you think about it, Texas State has a great run. They go through their conference and they have some tough out of conference and they pull a couple out. Now you've got a smaller school that was in the Sun Belt, now is in the Pac-12, that has put resources into facilities and also with rev share, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit, on a stage where they could be playing in a playoff scenario. Who in the hell thought that Texas State would be possibly in a playoff scenario within maybe the next 5 to 10 years? All it has to have is a couple years of recruiting, bringing in some folks through the portal, and before you know it, they could be making some noise.
Very quickly. Um, when you look at the Pac 12, you talked about it. I mean, let's think about it, Jason. Without the Pac 12,
Mhm.
there is not a Rose Bowl game.
Yeah. Now,
That's
not
how
only
vital, that's how important this conference is. Go ahead.
does that come back, Does that come back?
That that was part of this. I want to see it come back. I know there's not the UCLA's, the USC's.
Hmm.
I get it.
It's not as sexy as what it was, but if
It's not, but you throw a bikini on it and you can make something shake. I mean,
got
you
me on
know what
that
I
one,
mean?
you got me on that one.
I mean, for real. I mean, it
Uh,
ain't, you know, maybe you're looking from long distance, like through binoculars, and it looks better from a long distance than it does
well,
up
if you think
close.
about it,
But
though,
you
look at
know,
it for just a second here. Okay, say for instance, now you got a Wazoo going against Ohio State. Ohio State's got two losses. They're not in the bracket, and they still have a legit play with Washington State. Because if you think about it, I mean, hell, Ryan Leaf was there. I mean, they were contending going to. They were at least in the talks of going to um,
what was the kid's name? Tuliasa Sopo.
Marcus Tuiasosopo. Yeah, he was over at Washington.
Washington.
He was at
Yeah.
Washington,
But
which
what was the
actually,
kid's name that got carried off the field from Washington State? Jake something.
hmm,
Kessler? Kessler maybe was his name?
not sure. But do you know where Marcus Tuiasosopo ended his collegiate career?
Was it Ole Miss?
Ole Miss under Houston Nutt.
Yep. Because I was at his last game, which was the Egg Bowl, which that game was played in
Mm,
Oxford, and Mississippi State won that game.
yep. Jonathan just retweeted it, said great stuff. Hey, and I'm going to stick up for you. He's not going to call you Baldy, okay? Did you just fart?
No, man, this chair
I'm
makes a
really
lot of
glad that
noise
we're
when I think
recording
about
so you can edit that shit out. Oh, and by the way,
it. Yeah,
couldn't you?
no, we're live, by the way. Yeah,
Oh, it said recording. My bad. Oh,
yeah, yeah,
man, this
yeah.
is like some lane
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Paul
we're live
Feinbaum
there.
stuff.
Chris Childers off of freaking. I don't know if you caught that, by the way. So Danny and Dusty and Danny come on in the mornings on Sirius XM, right?
Okay.
Well, and I mentioned this on air the other day. So they have Chris Childers on right before the show, like a little segue, right?
Hmm.
Well, Childers didn't realize that they were live, and he asked Childers how he was doing,
Yeah.
and Childers said, "I am effing tired." Live on air,
Well,
and they were like, "Yeah, we're live, buddy."
this is on
So
XM. That's
now
all I
the
gotta
running
say.
joke is, yeah, yeah. Now the running joke is, he has a hot mic, and it's Chris Childers. So I love every morning, man. No, that's a shameless plug for that channel and that show, but that's great stuff right there. Speaking of great stuff, tomorrow is July 1st, which means we're one day closer to my 40th birthday, which excites me. But in addition to that, tomorrow is July 1st, which means the NCAA is going to make. There's going to be a lot of changes
A
amongst
lot of shit
Division One
changes
schools.
tomorrow.
Um,
Oh, a lot of
yeah,
shit changes.
yeah. So the settlement, which is valued at $2.8 billion over 10 years, compensates players for missed name, image, and likenesses opportunities, and ensures current and future players can also access legitimate NIL contracts. So you've got schedule flexibility, revenue sharing, but I want to talk about the third point, which is the impact on women's sports.
Hmm. Yeah, man. I'm gonna tell you what.
This is going to more than double the number of scholarships offered in women's sports, which boosts gender equity. For instance, historical average roster sizes will guide new limits, ensuring realistic adjustments. But how does, and this is one of the key points in our on our show tonight, but how is how can teams across the country find a way to make women's sports even greater than it is now?
Well, first off, this is my take. With this whole Title IX stuff, yeah, they get more scholarships, but it's a backhanded scholarship, is what I call it. Reason why I call it a backhanded scholarship is that you don't know how much rev share is going of that 20.5 million if your school opts into it for that much. You don't know how much of that is going to go to women's sports in the first place. That's why you've got folks like Kentucky that's trying to basically pull a CYA with John Talty had a great uh, piece on this with CBS Sports. I read through that quite a bit and did a great interview with Mitch Barnhart, the AD with Kentucky, in that they are doing away with their collective and they're creating an LLC for the athletic department. That's their workaround of being able to give 50, 60, 70% of their rev share to men's sports. Because if it's funneled through an LLC, that does not, I mean, it's being directly paid from the school to the entity. They're a DBA doing business as whatever name it is, and they're insulated from the Title IX lawsuits because there's no equity with a business like that. You can sit there and stomp your feet all you want. It's not going to happen. So what's going to happen is that the women's programs are going to have to form their own athletic department, their own LLC, so that they can also distribute money to the females in these sports. And you can create a 501c3 through an entity like an LLC. Each individual player has to have their own account. So then that way, whenever the rev share comes through, the school can give it to the LLC, which then just deposit it into the players' accounts through their 501c3. They do lose a little bit of the protections from the state, but now they're able to privatize game day experiences, buying land. Kentucky has already started toying with the whole fact of buying into hospital systems. Wow. Think about that for a second. A multi-trillion dollar business that they're buying into. They can buy land and put their own hotels, create their own prices, have shuttles, game day experiences that way too. Mitch Barnhart said that the amount of money that they're getting from these fans, it's pretty much topped out. 100-year checks finding that out right now. Those wells are drying up real fast. And they're having to create different avenues to bring in more resources and more money. Look at some of these Ivy League schools. They've been investing in money through wealth management companies for decades, ensuring that their school will be staying around. Arkansas has done the same thing. But now we're talking about the athletic department doing that themselves. Going into women's sports, yeah, I do believe that it can help. It's going to create a different avenue. Women's sports can go in there and capitalize on the businesses that want to invest solely into them. Only problem is that it's not going to be this amount of money that you're going to invest into men's sports. That's why I called it a backhanded scholarship. Yeah, they're finally getting their due. Like hell, baseball, for instance, they're finally getting their due. Limited numbers, but they're still getting scholarships instead of your ace pitcher being on a third of a scholarship. Some bullshit. But with today being the last day of the month and the last day of the physical year for college sports, everybody's trying to get their NIL payments put in there. That shit goes away. And so they're trying to get all that straightened out. Tomorrow, rev share starts. It's a really different animal. I really feel like in order for men's sports and women's sports to be able to coexist, they're going to have their own LLC, for instance. Now, this is where, and this is why I've been kind of on the drum about this for about a year and a half now. Now you're going to have player representation. Now you're going to have a CBA.
The
Everything that
contracts, the whole bit.
everything that you see in the professional model is being moved over to the college model. It's just going to take some time. You're starting to see GMs pop up, starting to see actual staffs with that GM pop up. Do they let some sports, for instance, like what, you going to let Penny Hardaway let some GM come in and start taking care of his NIL problems or situations? No. Penny's been doing that, and if he's been rocking it, why does the GM need to go in there and tinker with it?
Right.
Just kind of what it
Speaking of
is.
Memphis, I mean, Ed Scott said this week, or at the end of last week, that the NIL collectives for Memphis are gone.
Yeah.
They're done. And this is what we've been talking with Tony Siracusa. If you follow me and my shows with Memphis Spence as well, we've been talking about this for the last 2-3 years. This is not something that just has popped up. We've been talking about the P2, Power Two, Big Ten, SEC. We've been talking about the RAT for 2-3 years. This is not something that we're just pulling out of our
Hmm.
butts now. Um, when you look at rev sharing, you look at all of this. How does it affect the kid? And when I say the kid, I mean the high school kid, because I feel like this is the group of kids that are completely getting forgotten about with the portal and with everything else. How does this affect high school recruiting, Jason, across the country?
Duh, actually kind of beefs it up even more. And here's a reason why. States are attracting high schoolers to come in and play high school football in their state. They're opting into rev share as well, or well, NIL with high schoolers. It's something that's not new. It's just going to be a little different. Eventually, you're going to see that some of these high schoolers or high schools, larger high school programs can adapt. They can adapt to what the college game has done. There's enough money in it. Now, are you going to see, for instance, Briarcrest down in Mississippi create their own LLC where they don't have to worry about the
Yeah.
school monitoring their funds? They can pay players to come in through a through a rev share, for instance,
Right. Yeah.
and be an even bigger power. I mean, if they're wanting to be a power in basketball and they want to go after Montverde, for instance, I mean, hell, we just saw what they
Yeah.
did in the NBA draft, but it doesn't stop at the college game with the models that folks are starting to kind of look at, and they're kind of peering from a distance at the moment because they want to see, they want the smell test. It's kind of like dog at the dog park, right? You go in there, you got a bunch of
Yeah.
dogs and start sniffing each other, making sure that
Some
everything
butts.
checks out.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's exactly what everybody's doing to Kentucky right now. They're sniffing some butts to make sure that this checks out. And John Talty had a great line and said that Kentucky Kentucky lawyers are some of the top 3 or 4 in this country. They're not going to just intentionally do something to see if it kind of works out. They've already done their homework on this. And with them going ahead and moving forward before everything falls into place tomorrow, now they're sitting there thinking, we're ahead of the game. All that money that we put into Kroger Field, we're going to get back pretty quick. Because you look at it for a second. If you got a hotel and you've got a hospital and you've got some land that you're able to kind of tuck away for a little while and create more game day experiences, like kind of like I went over just a few minutes ago, those are all big money makers that keep funneling money into those funds or into those new businesses. When it comes down to, as long as they keep their numbers down as far as personnel goes, they don't have to go to a C corp. They can just keep it as an LLC, and that still buys them the 501c3. I know that some corporations do that too, but I think that it's easier model for them to keep the LLC instead of moving into a C corp and being able to facilitate the money and not have to report exactly where they're spending that money at too.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: with all of this, it's all revolving around what money, right?
Oh yeah,
I think Texas A&M learned something a long time ago, and that is that Texas has a shitload of money
yeah.
to the point that I believe Texas almost by itself brings in more than numerous teams in the conference, the SEC now by itself. Let me ask you this: from an SEC perspective,
Hmm.
when is the rest of the conference going to realize that they're really behind the eight ball when it comes to Texas? Because they can just spin, 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 and it does not bother them.
All depends on how everything works out with Kentucky. If Kentucky can start making hand over fist in money, you better damn well believe everybody else that's in the leaders in the clubhouse, they're going to be ratcheting it up. They're going to be changing their model. They are going to be investing in it ASAP. If they see that there is a big profit turn in the first month at Kentucky, you better believe it. You better be damn well believe it that everybody in Texas, for instance, A&M, Texas, A&M got screwed hard with this collective stuff because they poured money into it, poured it,
They
had the top football
more spending.
spending in the NCAA on their classes that they had. They thought that they were king of the mountain. Like Nick Saban said, it doesn't work if you don't buy the right damn players. They didn't,
Yep.
but they are pretty smart with their money when it comes to making it, not spending it, but making it. And if Kentucky can, if they can take the lead on this, you better well believe that there's going to be some other schools that are going to be jumping on board pretty stinking quick.
It's very true, man. Very, very true. All right, Jason. Let's take a. We got a little sponsor shout out real quick. So we got Sports Box Company. I don't know if any of you are parents, but if you are, head over to sportboxco.com/4star sports now. If you're a parent of child of any age that plays basketball, softball, basketball, softball, basketball, hockey, soccer, lacrosse, volleyball, any of the above. I just listed like 7 sports right there. If you have kids that want to look good, play good, and also play smarter, this box is what you're looking for. It is a box of training aids, gear, swag, and more for kids to keep them smiling, while playing good, while looking good. But then, like I said, your kid's going to be a smarter player because it also comes with training aids. It's a win-win situation for all. Your kid's going to continue to score all year round, and you're going to score points as a parent because it's month by month. And I know the way kids are nowadays; they're not playing just one sport, so you can keep the sports rolling all year round. Head to sportboxcode.com/4star sports for more information. Jason, let's jump over to a little bit of Colorado news, and I want to ask this question. And I know it's going to sound weird. I know everybody's like, "Whoa, Wes, why are you talking about Deion Sanders? What are you doing? You don't even like the guy. Calm down. Never said I didn't like him." Um, so we know he's been away from his coaching duties since April. He had some unspecified health issues. As of recent, we see that he is making some progress in his rehabilitation. They say he's, quote, back active and moving around. That's through Dion Jr., his son. By the way, he said that on his YouTube channel on June 1st, by the way, in case anybody wants the full detail there. But he has previously battled blood clots in his legs. We know he missed the Pac 12 event in 2023, and they say he's lost roughly 14 pounds, as mentioned in a recent podcast too. But let me ask you this: he's missed summer camps, he's missed other off-season activities. He is scheduled to appear at the Big 12 Media Conference in Frisco, Texas, on July 9th. We'll have more on that coming up. Um, but could this return be the fuel that Colorado needs? They were not far from making a college football playoff last year. Could the Dion Prime return? Could this prime the Buffs for something special in 2025, Jason?
I don't think that him being out is going to affect recruiting, and it's not going to affect presence as much as you think, Reason why? This little guy right here. That is a screen. All you gotta do is boop 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 done, and you got Prime on the phone giving you the business,
That's true.
recruiting, all that stuff. Yeah, I get it. He's rolled up, but at the same time, he still has the charismatic effect when he has you locked in, as kids say.
Yeah.
He's locked in, you're locked in. Yeah, he can still recruit with the best, but I don't think that it's really going to. If it was his first year and
Yeah.
he came in February and has been out since April. Okay, yeah, that's some problems. He's been there now for a little while. Been there for 2 years. And the program that he has, the folks that he moved from Jackson, also the folks that he has in place at Colorado, it's
Yeah.
going to be business as usual. Honestly, I don't think that it's going to affect the weight room. I don't think it's going to affect the locker room. I don't think it's going to affect the offices. He's going to be present where he needs to be present. So I don't think it's going to affect. But again, it also, he's falling into the same pit as a lot of these other coaches where you have high turnover. You don't know what you have until you get on the field. You can
Exactly.
you lose the Heisman Trophy winner. You lose your kid that he was a pretty dang good quarterback. Got blackballed a little bit during the NFL draft just because of not only who he is, but how he was acting, I think. And then folks wanted to kind of put a curtail on that, which I don't think is right. You don't try to limit a person on who they are and what they are. You try to not placate, but you try to manage that person, making sure that they're doing the things that they need to be doing.
Yeah.
No problems with the Cleveland Browns taking him. I do have a problem with them taking 3 quarterbacks and don't know what the hell they're doing there. But anyway,
Made no sense.
made no sense at all. But to go back to your point, with Dion being not on the sidelines and not being around the team as much, I don't think it hurts him as much as if it would if he was in his first year versus going into his third.
Okay. I see that. I see that. I just wasn't sure. I mean, there's a lot of hype around that team, right? Obviously, there's a lot of hype around Deion Sanders.
Sam Pittman having hip surgery,
To be honest
same
with you,
thing.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Sam Pittman having hit start. It's really a very. I don't want to say two teams are kind of mirror image because they're not. I don't think. Honestly, I think that Arkansas is a better football team right now than um, on paper
Colorado,
than
yeah.
Colorado is. Yeah, but when you look at the way that Deion Sanders has had to build it, right? He's done
Hmm.
it very oddly, very just rebuild, break it all down, rebuild it back up. He's had his 3 guys, he's had his sons. The question is, what does he do now? How does he get by with a new quarterback? It's a
God.
question around the country for a number of teams, but Colorado is one of them.
Yeah.
As we kind of segue into to where we talk about the Manning Passing Academy, what's your thoughts on Colorado and their quarterback situation?
Well, I mean, like you said, there's quite a few. I mean, hell, Memphis is about to go into those uncharted territories too. Tulane did it, I
Yep.
think, last year, if I'm not mistaken. Um,
Mhm. Yep.
Alabama's had that growing pain. LSU's had that growing pain. Um, some of the best have had those growing pains here the last couple years. I think it kind of you can extrapolate their situation to Colorado's and the fact that you don't exactly know maybe different caliber of quarterback coming in, but you're still having the same problems where you don't know exactly what you have until you see the live bullets. You get the live bullets, and then yeah, you kind of understand. That's why you have a team that makes the greatest jump from game 1 to game 2 every single season. Is because you understand what that quarterback, running back, whatever position that you want to say, what they're going to do, so that way that you can start to formulate a game plan that's going to be to their strengths and not their weaknesses. Because basically, game one is about your weaknesses. That's where you find them and then you fix them. You can sit there and say you see your weaknesses in fall camp, but you're going against the same guys. You need to go against some different
Right.
dudes. And I'm going to throw this little nugget
And
out
those
there.
guys. Oh,
That's why I
go ahead.
think that
Sorry.
you're going to start to see joint camps during fall with folks that are
That's coming.
locally, in proximity, close to each other. Arkansas, Oklahoma State, Arkansas, Memphis, hell, Oklahoma, and whoever that, Kansas. I mean, you're going to start to see some of these joint practices like the NFL does during training camp. I mean, hell, Kansas, Missouri, for instance, you could have that kind of come back a little bit. I don't know, it's those sorts of things. You can kind of rekindle the rivalry and keep that going. And if I think the NCAA wants to keep that in the back pocket, I think that they need to keep it so that they can use it sooner than later, because that's whenever a lot of these camps are going to start to say, oh, okay, I see where you're going with this. I know coaches aren't going to like it as much because you can sit there and tamper and all this other bullshit. But I think that if you close up the windows with the portal and align it with registration with classes, I think that that's where you can curtail a lot of that stuff. Jonathan Sturdivant, what is the biggest trap game for Colorado and what could surprise you? I don't even know their schedule. Be frank with you.
We're not even getting into the schedule right now. See, what? Come on. Let's just wait till we talk the Big 12. It's coming up. The see that. All right. So look,
And
let's
so
go ahead and jump over to the
to
man.
to
Let's go ahead.
cement your
One thing
last
real
point.
quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. So one thing real quick with the quarterback situation at Colorado.
Yeah.
They bring in Caden Slater from, or I'm sorry, Salter from Liberty. You've
Hmm.
got Julian Lewis, the highly talented freshman. I think it's going to be very interesting to watch how they make things happen at the quarterback position. Also, I'm very interested to see if the offense maybe opens up possibly a little more, or is it more shrunk based on, obviously Shador Sanders had a lot more probably free reign than maybe these quarterbacks will have. That's one of
Yeah,
many quarterback situations across the country to keep an
that's
eye
going
on.
to be an interesting situation, because now he's had Shador for 4 years, and essentially, if you think about it, he's
Right,
been coaching for what, 4 years, 5 years tops. And so now you have,
right.
that's a really good point, because you don't exactly know how he's going to handle it. Is he going to handle it the way he did with Shador? Is he going to handle it differently? Is he going to have
Yeah.
a Steve Spurrier type? Well, you didn't throw, but three good passes got to get you out of there first quarter. Going to bring in the kid now and see what he can do. Really, I think you might see that. I really think you
I'm,
might, because
I'm very, very interested to watch Boulder, Colorado. It's going to be interesting.
yeah, yeah, because
Speaking of interesting, have you seen the list of quarterbacks that competed at the Manning Passing Academy that were counselors this year?
I have not, but I did see that there was a John Gruden sighting. I gotta
Yeah.
look at. I gotta
Taylon
look.
Green was there.
Yeah, he
Speaking of
sure
John
was.
Gruden.
Yep.
Um, you got Kevin Jennings from SMU, Avery Johnson from Kansas State, Cade Klubnik from Clemson, Sam Levitt from Arizona State,
Oh,
Gio
Jaden
Lopez
Daniels was there too.
from from North Carolina, Arch Manning obviously was there, John Mateer, Oklahoma,
Mm-hmm.
um, Chandler Morris, Virginia.
Kid from
Who
Oregon, he was
did
there too.
everybody
I
forget
thought.
about that kid? That
Mm.
kid can sling it. Austin Novosad from Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Garrett Nussmeyer was there as well. You mentioned him.
Yeah.
Lenore Sellers. That kid could be like
Whew.
$50 million richer right now based on the
That
stories I've seen.
if
Blake
that
Sharper,
sucker can
Mississippi
get a
State.
defense behind him, he's gonna be top tier, man. Jeff Levy's gonna be
Yeah,
rolling in it.
but that I'm a guy that I'm very two guys that I'm very interested in watching. One of which I think if I'm James Franklin, I don't know how you show up at media day. Like, do you be the same old, you know, or are you happier than a lark? I'll just say that for lack of a better term I can use. Um, Drew Aller, man, the kid's a winner. They were a smidge close against Notre Dame last year.
Mhm.
I I know the big thing on James Franklin is he can't win the big game. I mean, he was one game away from the national championship.
I mean,
I'd
hell,
say he won some big games last year. Um,
Matt Painter.
but yeah, like I'm really interested to watch Aller. I'm also really interested to watch Luke Altmaier from Illinois. Brett Bielema's got that team playing really good football right now. Uh, and old Bert, man, I just like the guy. I
The
really
L
do. I just
the
like him. He's just
LSU
like,
holdover that goes north with Barry Lunny as
yeah,
the OC. Holy moly. Um,
yeah, very interesting.
I was Illinois really fits Brett's personality. It really fits the person who he is. He's from the north. It's where he came in from through with Barry Alvarez at Wisconsin. I mean, he tried that whole cup of coffee down here in the SEC, and it just was not. It was like a square. He had like a cross, like a Phillips head screw with a star screwdriver, almost. Really, is what it kind of come down to. Some of those guys that were there at the Manning Passing Academy, though, they were identified as the top quarterbacks that are in the NC or going to be in playing in the NCAA next year. So whenever you do get that type of invitation, not only do you take it, but you also kind of, I don't know, treat it like the precious. Like it's the who's of who.
Yeah,
So when you get up there and you start to see all of these other people that are there, on top of Cooper, Peyton, Eli, Archie, all those guys, when they're there and you get that type of invitation, yeah, you do covet it. But I think that you start to see some of the competitiveness boil a little bit because you know that there's some dudes there that not only can they go, they can sling it. And
yeah,
those are some guys that you're going to see in the first two, three, first, second, third round of the NFL draft in the next year or two. So now you're able to kind of compare yourself to what they're doing so that whenever they go back, between in the month of July and say, okay, this is what I need to work on. And that's basically, I think that's what's going to happen.
yeah. That is a camp a environment that I love watching every year. I love digging into it. I love watching videos on YouTube, Twitter, whatever, because a lot of people are there, and a lot of people show up. And like we just talked about, this passing academy reminds me of the Senior Bowl in Mobile in the sense of it's
Hmm.
the who's who. It's the top of the top. If you're there and you get the invite, to your point, you better get your ass there. There's no other question about it.
Do you think that the Manning Passing Academy is more prestigious than the Senior Bowl?
I would say no, only for this. To use a hometown Arkansas kid, okay? I was there in 2019. Calvin Austin was there. That was the Desmond Ritter season.
Hmm.
But a guy named
Yep.
Greg Jr. was there. From a Ouachita Baptist star, came from Crossett, Arkansas. I know his family really well. But a guy like Greg, um, I don't think he makes the. I mean, obviously the NFL had eyes on him, right? He was
Hmm.
in Mobile. You're not going to be there unless the NFL knows who you are. But his progression that week, practice to practice to practice, and then game day. But more than that, the way he carried himself, I think that propelled him into getting to the NFL, and he's now with the Green Bay Packers.
Hmm.
But that's the reason I say Tyson Bagent, right, quarterback. Those type of things, I think that's where the Senior Bowl gets the edge over the Manning Passing Academy.
Hmm.
But I don't think there's much gap. To me, that's the top. That's the top passing academy in the nation, and to me,
Hmm.
the Senior Bowl is the top. What do you call it? All star style game
Yeah,
in the country,
I
hands
could
down.
see, I do see your point there, where it is in totality because of all the different positions that are being graded out. I do disagree, though, that I think that the Manning Passing Academy is more worthwhile because you're able to see these kids before they one go to the NFL Combine. Some of them will never step foot on the NFL Senior Bowl or the NCAA Senior Bowl. Never will step a foot out there because they're sophomores, juniors, not seniors. You won't see them. That's where I think
Right.
that you have the Manning Passing Academy have a little bit more panache or a little bit more stature because you're able to not only see the kids that you would not get to see, but you're getting to see their progression and what they might have going into next season.
Good point. That's a good point. Speaking of coming up next season, however you want to look at it, 2025 in college football starts with some eye popping matchups, as you can see on the screen there for those of you watching. By the way, for those of you watching, we thank you. We appreciate your support. We appreciate all the love on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it,
How many
and
people you
over
got
on YouTube
watching?
as well. I think currently it's showing 41, so not too bad. We hit over 100 the other day doing the live watch along. By the way,
Those
once
are
again,
fun.
we appreciate everybody tuning in for that. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, for those of you watching, you may have been upset you couldn't see WWE's live pay per view on screen. Sorry, I'm not
Can't
being
do
honest
that.
with you. Yeah, can't do that. That ESPN, for that matter, anyone like that, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Just so everyone's aware out there. But let's talk about an opener, man, that I think has a lot of eyes on it, and people may laugh when I say that. I don't care. But here we go. Alabama, Florida State. We now know it's 3:30 p.m. kickoff on ABC from a revamped Doak Campbell Stadium. Keep in mind there, folks. Revamped Doak Campbell Stadium. Yes, Alabama was
Mm.
9-4 last year. Yes, Florida State was 2-10. I understand that. It's also part of a home and home. So Florida State will travel to Alabama next season. Alabama leads the series 3-1-1. Last meeting was in 2017, a 24-7 win for the Tide in Atlanta. The game in 2007, which was in Jacksonville, was a 21-14 win and is the only game that has been played in the state of Florida. This is the first Tallahassee matchup. This matchup is very significant for both teams. If you're Florida State, you damn near put every egg in one basket and you go win this game, and whatever happens, then you figure it out. If you're Alabama, you can't go to Tallahassee and lose. You can't. Now the renovation adds to the atmosphere, and this is where I think this game has a lot of eyes on it, or I believe it should. That place is going to be rocking, Jason, and you know Doak Campbell Stadium, non-renovated, is rocking. But now you add more, you give more excitement. It's the first game under the renovated stadium, all the new lights, all the new glitz and glamour. Florida State potentially could
Man,
have a better year this year, possibly, possibly.
how do you not have a better year than last year if you're Mike Norvell? When was the
That's
last time
very
he
true.
got kicked in the nuts by a donkey?
Uh,
Happened a couple times already last year.
it may happen in Memphis a time or two too, but that's a different story for a different day. That's
Man,
funny.
I'm gonna tell you,
Um,
locked you up again. Here we go.
Sorry, man. I am on one tonight. All right. So when you look at this matchup, though, Jason, and you look at the beginning of college football as we kind of wrap up here, um, you look at the beginning of college football. College football 2026 or 2025 is right around the corner, folks. I don't know. Tomorrow's July 1st, by the way, tomorrow's July 1st. Get ready for some schedule predictions. We're going to be posting some graphics. What I want y'all to do, and we're going to put this out there on social media, take the graphic, screenshot it, and then go in and put W or L. That's why we built the graphic the way we did. So go in there and fill the season out. And we're going to do numerous teams, so get ready. But fill it out. At the end of the year, we're going to revisit this, and we will reach out to the winner of both. We're going to do one for Memphis and Arkansas specifically, but we'll do some other teams too. So get ready. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it. It's a nice little way to create graphics as well.
Mhm.
But Jason, when you look at 2025, a lot of questions. We talked about some of the questions today or tonight. What is your number one question that you have for the upcoming season?
For
And second part.
okay.
So first part is what is in your mind? What is the number one question that should be asked con- for college football coming up in 2025? Second part, what do you think is the answer to that question?
Well, first off, I don't think so. My answer to the first cannot be backed up by the second because the first question is going to be who's going to come out hot and fast? That's what your first question, that's the answer to your first question because the team is going to come out that's going to be ready to go. They are going to be a step ahead, maybe even two steps ahead. They're going to make their presence known over the first couple of weeks. Who that might be, I'm not sure yet. That's the reason why I play the damn game. So, with all of that information that's still hanging out there with question marks, you really can't answer the second without your answer to the first. Can't prognosticate because we don't know who's going to get hurt. And I hate to say it that way, but there's going to be people that are going to get hurt during fall camp that's going to alter some of the rosters. It always happens. That's what happens in sports. No matter how much you try to limit injuries going into the season, there's freak accidents that do happen. So that's where I really cannot put a thought on that until you start to see out of the first 3 weeks. Now, if you got a team that's has a decent schedule, like for instance Georgia last year, they saw Clemson in the first game of the season, and they played them
Yeah.
pretty tough. And Georgia winds up going to SEC championship game. Quarterback gets hurt. Damn, that's it. I mean, those sorts of things happen, and that's why you really can't
Jordan Travis
prognosticate.
down in Tallahassee for Florida State. I mean, if Jordan Travis doesn't get hurt, Florida State's potentially playing for a national championship, depending on how the chips fall. I'm just saying they at least have an opportunity because if he doesn't get hurt, they're in the playoff.
Well, possibly, but you got to look at that game that they had in Dublin, the first game of the season. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
that was one of the things that you had all your hosses, you're ready to go, and then all of a sudden, bam, you get smacked in the face with a field goal at the end of the first half that pulls uh, Florida State thought, okay, we got some momentum. And then now you got Navy kicking a field goal at the end of the game to kind of take the wind out of your sails. And not only that, now Florida State goes on this losing streak. I understand you lose your quarterback, but 1-8, 5-game losing streak to end the season, worse than 49 years. And now you've got more questions than answers. You got a revamped stadium. Mike Norvell that's going out there creating all sorts of buzz for his program. And I just hope that his mouth isn't right and checks his ass can't cash.
Well, I know one thing. There's a lot of Florida State fans that have been drinking some alcoholic beverages. Now, if it's Athletic Brewing Company or
That's
not,
Florida,
I
baby.
don't know.
Just Florida. Look at
But
Marty and McGee.
uh,
The Hillbilly headlines is all Florida because it's Florida.
dude, that is one of the greatest segments. I another shameless plug. That is one of the best segments in all of sports
They even
talk.
got Coach O in
Period. I
there.
don't care what anybody says, dude. Oh yeah, then you got Coach O, go Tigers. Or as Coach O over the weekend looked like he was looking for some Cougars. He was down in Louisiana taking his
I
shirt
don't
off,
need
which I
no
don't know who
cougars.
that
I
is.
got my shirt off looking for me some beignets.
That man was ready to eat. If you know what I'm saying. But yeah. So Athletic Brewing Company. It is America's largest dedicated non-alcoholic brewer. They've got incredible drinks. I sip on them quite often. Tomorrow night, or no, I'm sorry, Thursday night and Friday night, I'll definitely be sipping on them. But go check them
Sipping
out.
on some
Athletic Brewing
scissor.
Company. Yes, sir. Check them out. athleticbrewingcompany.com / 4 Star Sports for more information. Jason, fun show, man. I always enjoy doing it.
Yep,
We're going to get you back on when we talk SEC as well
that'll work.
to pick your brain about the conference as a whole, overlooking the conference.
Yep,
And then, obviously, we'll get you back on to talk Hogs as well. As the Hogs, as you can see right there, as the Hogs and Tigers have a game this year.
yep, sure do.
For any of you that know me on a personal level, my house is completely divided. Yes, I'm wearing an Arkansas shirt. Like I said, my house is completely divided. This flag that keeps flopping over here in the background, that's a Memphis
You
flag.
freaking Judas.
So
Oh my god.
I also have an Arkansas hat on for that matter.
I know, I saw that too. I
But
was like, did somebody point a
yeah,
gun to you and tell you to put it on?
no, I mean, no, look. Here's and this is actually. I'm glad you brought that up. This is actually how I want to close the show. So we understand that the word fan is short for fanatic,
Hmm? Yep.
but there's levels, right? There's fan, there's fanatic, and then there's psycho. And the problem is that social media has allowed the psychos to have voices. With that, with the upcoming season, y'all know I do. Y'all know I generally do this every year. Can we just enjoy sports for what sports are? It's a release. It's an
No.
escape. Jason said no.
Twitter,
Let's
Facebook, the internet have all been procured by folks to take video of folks' psychotic moments and package them and wrap a bow on them and send it out to the world to say, you know what? This shit's been happening for the last 25 years. I just finally caught it on video. And the folks
my
that
but
I was going to
my
say that
point is this.
the go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you're fine. Go ahead.
The thought is though, the folks that are the most psychotic are the ones who have put money into into the school through NIL or put money into a casino, albeit on your phone or at the place itself. And that's where you get the most psychotic moments. And so I don't think that the casual Arkansas fan, for instance, the only thing that they know is torment. They only
Yeah.
know torture. They only know grieving heart syndrome sort of stuff because they don't act out. They just are waiting for the letdown to happen. Some of these folks, though, expect it. And when you have a fan base that expects wins, like Alabama, for instance, those folks are about to go over their graves here pretty quick. Look at Memphis fans. You got Ryan Silverfield, for
See how he
instance.
talks about Grant and stuff. Go
9
ahead.
and 11 wins. Okay. You really are going to get pissed off about a guy that's getting double digit wins? You know who the last person that got fired that I know of that got fired for double digit wins was Frank Solich, I think in 97 after he
Yep.
took over for
Nebraska.
Tom Osborne at
Yep.
Nebraska. And then he went to Ohio and had a hell of a career after that. Those sorts of
Yes,
things,
he.
if you run off a coach that is keeping the school camaraderie, the history, and still winning, why would you want to run them off?
Exactly. And to your point about Ryan Silverfield, it's the only coach in program history to have back-to-back 10-win seasons ever.
I
No
mean,
one's ever done that. From 2015 till now, Memphis is one of 8 teams in the country to make 11 plus straight bowl games. I didn't
see,
say win. I said make. That's
That's
still
just
an accomplishment.
that's just people that hate nice things.
Exactly. And that's you exactly. So when you mention the people that gambling, I get it. Like it's fun, hey, whatever. It's fun.
Yeah, yeah.
To Jason's point earlier, gambling, people take their emotions and
Yeah.
they freak out, and you start threatening people, and you start threatening coaches, you start tagging players, you start calling players out.
Yeah.
That's where the psycho stuff has to stop. And that's also where I think, going back to contracts, I would like to see somewhere, I don't know where, I don't know how you do it, but somewhere, that if somebody comes after a player, that player can retaliate. Not in a sense of physically. I'm saying like the university can assist the player. Like, hey, this player's under contract for me. In the contract, it states blah 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 blah. Bam, there you go. You're banned from the stadium. You know what I mean? You're banned from campus. Whatever.
I
Because
bet that's already
these are the
happened. We
type
just
of
haven't heard about it yet.
these are the type of actions that are going to have to take place
Hmm.
for these type of psycho activities to stop. In my opinion.
I'm sure we haven't heard about it yet. I think some of it's been negated, but I would definitely think that if you've got a company that's invested 10, 15, 30, 60, $100,000 in a player,
Yeah.
they don't perform. I mean, it's not like it's, the Northeast mob or anything like that, but
Right.
all,
That's
all
not
it,
what I'm saying. Yeah, of course.
but if, guy is out there and he's hurt and he's not playing and he's still collecting a check, I mean, that business owner gets pissed off and is like, hey, what the hell's going on here? And goes up there. You can't tell me that that's not already happened somewhere in sports. There's too many universities across the nation that have had contracts with players with different businesses where you catch a hothead. That's what it comes down to. You catch a hothead and they come stomping up there. Haven't heard about it, but because I don't think it's escalated to the point of being heard, needing to be heard about it. But
Right.
once once it does, I think you're going to have a flood of stories go out. You know what? That shit happened over here in so and so's college here about a year ago. I think that's where you'll start to see that. But I think right now,
And we
universities
knew,
are
we
doing a good
just
job
didn't
at
say
making.
anything because we didn't want to make anybody upset. That's
Yeah,
why we didn't say, oh yeah, it's coming, no doubt.
yeah,
Jason, once again, man, I appreciate you coming on. It's always a pleasure to pick your brain, talk sports. You bring incredible insights from different perspectives, which is what we like to do here at Four Star Sports. We cover sports from an analytical and statistical perspective and not just hot takes. So, Jason will bring those, and he'll also lock you up at some point in time in the show. Doesn't matter who he's on with, he's gonna lock you up at some point in time. I got him a couple of times tonight though, which was
yeah. You
kind of
did. You
surprising.
got me once,
But
but I got to that with that Norvell thing with the donkey and stuff.
yeah, yeah,
That was
no
a good one.
doubt, no doubt. But Jason, I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate everyone watching and listening. And as always, folks, get up, be kind, and stay classy.